The end of Jujutsu Kaisen is here. Yuji and Maru will remove cursed energy from all humans, sorcerers and Sumerians on the entire planet. With us getting also Yuji versus Mahito. Mahito just trying his best against Yuji in the afterlife, but seeing Yuji's full strength, his full power is nuts, especially that omnidirectional cleave and dismantle, completely destroying Mahito before he can activate his domain expansion. But really, I want to talk about this Yuji and Maru stuff because this really worries me. This could truly lead us down one of the worst possible endings for Jujutsu Kaisen. We don't know for sure, but it seems like maybe it's heading down that route. It is a lot to talk about, as you can see by the length of this video. I already know I'm going to be talking about this a lot, so let's not delay this any further. Please leave a like on the video, it helps out so much. Thank you very much, and of course subscribe for a ton of consistent and quality Jujutsu Kaisen Modulo content like this. If you love JJK Modulo, I promise you're not gonna regret subscribing. So we will take this one page at a time. So starting with page 1, I've got a rough idea of what you want to do and how to do it. That's what Yuji is saying to Maru. So I'm going to read each page as we go, and I'm going to explain my own opinion, review it, break it down for you as we go. The biggest chunk of this whole video truly is going to come from the final part, so just be ready for that. Yuji proceeds to say to Maru as Mahito is sweating and looking terrified. Probably one of the funniest pages as Yuji looks, we can only see one of his eyes on a completely terrified Mahito. Very cool as well, like we already knew it was like this, but Yuji has his hair slicked back just like Sukuna. Yuji says that technique of being that interferes with the souls will be strengthened with the cursed energy of the spaceship and Akotsu Senpai, with the editor's note saying this is something like from Shibuya. Yuji continues saying, so you intend to reshape the form of Japanese people's souls so cursed spirits won't be born from. And then we also have the chapter 22, the crossroads of souls. Mahito's on the ground as all this is happening, and they're just basically talking about it. Can this really be done? Yuji says, and Mahito, still being afraid, can hear Maru say, if you permit it. Yuji says this guy isn't exactly the kind to meekly obey, and Maru says naturally a subjugation ritual is necessary. So interesting that from these scans we can see it is a actual ritual, so it's almost like taming a Pokemon. I know it sounds funny, Mahito being tamed like a Pokemon, but this is literally what it is. You defeat somebody in combat, you tame them, and they become a part of you, like subservient to you. It reminds me of the 10 Shadows, to be honest. Yuji says, a subjugation ritual, huh? Maru, and this is the craziest part, he says, shall I do it? Yuji says, nah, I'll do it. It's pretty crazy, but Maru, even after having fought Tsurugi, confidently thinks he can take on Mahito. Not that surprising considering Maru is a very strong special grade level sorcerer. Just look how he's going up against Rika combined with a heavily restricted user. That should say all you need to know. I mean, his technique's on a planetary and universal rate, right? Yuji says in one of the coldest lines, my only worry is that I might accidentally kill it. Referring to Mahito as an it, and just being scared that he's accidentally going to kill him is pure aura. Can you imagine that? He's saying as Mahito's listening, if this thing, he says, like calling Mahito a thing, again, if this thing disappears, we won't be able to make use of it. This place is a crossroad for souls. Aside from us, no one here has a body. The fight, when it ends here, is not death, but defeat and subjugation. Go at it as much as you want. So basically, Mahito can't die, since this is a crossroad for souls, so he doesn't have a true body. He can only be defeated and subjugated. Yuji leans down to Mahito. As Mahito's eyes, you can see, like, are getting intense because he's getting pissed, hearing that he's being disrespected in this way, talked about like a literal Pokemon. Yuji, in the coldest panel I've ever seen in JJK Modulo, leans down with his hands on his knees, and he says, that's what he said. You ready to go? Like, the disrespect is off the charts. Mahito tries to touch Yuji, but Yuji simply dodges, like extremely casually moving back, hands in his pocket to the curtains fall, and they are back in Shibuya. Mahito says, all that yapping, don't you dare look down on. Then we go into page 4. Yuji's a bit surprised. Shibuya, hands still in his pocket. It's important to note, Yuji's hands will never leave his pocket, and he will not move from the place that he's standing from this point on. The ground above him begins to erupt upwards, and Mahito looks very intense. He says, if you've got a body, then I can just kill you right now. This is where I can do as much as I want, and he activates Ideal Transfiguration on the world around him, trying to crush Yuji in the next page. Ideal Transfiguration, crushing Yuji in a spherical attack, and the page after that, Mahito thinks this place is constructed as a place that's made from something as close as the souls. So because this is the passage of souls, it's almost like this place is made of souls. Everything here is a target for my technique. Basically, Mahito has the greatest home advantage he could have ever asked for. The whole world around him is souls. We already know from Maki's fight with Naoya that everything has a soul, even inanimate objects, but it seems like this goes beyond just things having a soul, and the world around them is literally made of souls itself, meaning Mahito's teleportation, did I just say teleportation? Mahito's technique has no restrictions at all. And And in a very cool page, as you can see, I mean, it's the same page you've been looking at, even your attempts to look young will be smashed into pieces. Domain expansion, and this is very cool. Like, first of all, the art style on Mahito looks incredible. It's the same one we always saw him use. He always activates domain this way, but very cool just seeing in Yuji's art style. And as he says domain expansion, the sound effect, the splat sound effect, the onomatopoeia, actually covers the domain expansion, foreshadowing what's going to happen in the next page, with Mahito's fingers and tongue being cut off. And he's just shocked. You can see he's missing all of his fingers. His tongue it's just not there. Blood is pouring out, and he says, eh? Which reminds me of what he said to Todo when he saw the necklace of Yuji fall out. He looks quickly, just trying to see what happened, and in an instant, we see the whole world has been cleaved and dismantled. And what makes it crazy, potentially this is all just cleave, but this is something we saw Sukuna do on an insignificant level. So we saw Sukuna do this twice. Once with the twins, and once with Kusakabe, where he does a mind slash, is the best way I can say it. But when Sukuna does a mind slash, it is limited and is not as weak, or not as strong, I should say. It's important to note, because you're not doing the hand sign and not saying dismantle or cleave, it actually is far weaker than normal. Meaning that the only times we saw Sukuna do this was one against Kusakabe for fun, and a second time was also against the twins, like basically fodder, right? And that's why right now, what we're seeing from Yuji is a portion, a genuine tiny fraction of his power. What Yuji is doing right now is not the full extent, because he's doing this from his mind. He doesn't say anything. He doesn't say dismantle or cleave. His hands also don't make any hand signs, like not even to point. It's in his pockets. From his mind, he activates his technique. That's what's impressive. But the reason this is far more impressive than anything Sukuna could have dreamed of. Like, if Sukuna had like 100 more years to train, maybe he'd reach this level. But it's impressive because, one, it is a mind slash, meaning it is really nerfed of what Yuji can do. Two, to do a mind slash, it is incredibly skilled to do something like that. Three, it's the fact that it is omnidirectional. We have never seen Sukuna do this. Never in all of our lives we have seen Sukuna do something like this. The most we've seen him do is do like hundreds and thousands of clearness mantles in one direction that he either points at or is looking at. He has never done something like this. But what makes it crazy, it's not like he's just doing it from behind him or somewhere he's not looking or pointing to. He's doing it 360 degrees, up and down, left, right, every single way. It is a true omnidirectional mind slash. And what makes it even worse is first of all, the strength of it, because Mahito is a special grade level curse spirit, and this place is made of souls, but the range of it as well. Look how far it goes. It is cutting the buildings around them and far away from them. You can actually see on the page, everywhere around them is being cut. Normally, if you were to do something like that so nerfed, like a mind slash, that's going omnidirectionally, that's so many things nerfing it, it would be far weaker, or at least the range would be nerfed. Yuji is doing this, hands in his pockets, nothing being said, not a sweat broken, probably using no cursed energy, omnidirectional mind slash, instantly cutting everything. God knows how many meters around him this is. Like, this is hundreds of meters all around him in every direction in an instant, faster than Mahito could even perceive. He says domain expansion and he's cut before he can even finish saying that. This is one of the craziest feats of skill we have ever seen. I mean, the dismantle that he fired was incredible because of the sheer size and destruction and cursed energy in it. It spanned a half of Tokyo, was kilometers wide. I'm not talking about the damage it did, if cursed spirits made that explosion, not about the explosion. I mean, the length and width of that dismantle and how huge it was insane from one dismantle. Like, the size of it was bigger than Fuga or multiple of Sukuna and Gojo's domain expansions. But this is more so a skill feat right here. This is an insane level of skill. Like, it's nuts. And especially just considering all the blood manipulation stuff he was doing. Like, he is the most skilled sorcerer of all time, which makes sense. He's been alive for 86 years. In his prime, he should be that strong, you know what I mean? And then, of course, in the next page, it seems like time is almost frozen as everything is cut. And like I said in my spoiler video, and I was during my stream, like, some people are saying this because I did a live stream with like 1,000 people as the chapter was coming out. Two things are happening here. One of two things. Either A, Yuji is using anti-gravity to sustain everything in place. I don't think it's that. I just want to say that because some people think it is. Cool theory. I'll say it for the sake of that. But what I think is actually going on is because this is the passage of souls and the crossroad of souls, I think that's the reason why everything is just not falling into place. This isn't the physical world, this is a literal soul world. So I think that's why things are acting the way they do, and Mahito didn't just eviscerate, because again, Mahito can't even die. This is a subjugation ritual. Yuji casually approaches a defeated Mahito and says, listen, were you always that weak? He pokes a piece of Mahito to Maru, and Maru says, sorry, but I'll be using this. And now we go into the next page, and this is going to be a lot. Especially the end, we're going to have so many discussions on this, so be ready. Maru uses his technique, and Mahito is teleported to somewhere we'll see very soon. Yuji's a bit quiet, he has eclipses right there. And Maru says, what's wrong? Yuji says nothing. I just wondered if that guy had been here messing with our dead comrades. Maru says, don't worry, normally souls here can't overly interfere with one another. Yuji has a question mark, but that's exactly why we need his technique, because he can do that, right? Maru says he doesn't have that much cursed energy left anymore. The him you saw earlier was only temporarily restored by the effect of my technique. So basically, Mahito lost all of his power, and that's why he didn't just kill Sukuna Urume, or I guess like anyone else who had died after they had passed on. But Maru bringing everyone of his technique, a side effect of his technique, brought Mahito back to his peak. Didn't really matter because he was fighting Yuji. Yuji says, so you understand everything, huh? And Maru says, only because we are here. And in the next page, we have a very cute Mahito plushie, and this is reminiscent of, first of all, season 3 teaser promotion, Gege Drode of Kenjaku having a bunch of plushies like this, but also, this is reminiscent of Mahito in that cover pred, where he's actually got a Nobara doll, a Naname doll, right there, and it looks exactly like this. So it's very ironic that Mahito is playing with the dolls of the people he toyed with and almost killed, or did kill, I guess, for some people. Whereas now he has once become that doll, just like he did with everyone else. And in this little, it's like a toy, you can see everything in this room is a toy, I'll explain that later on, but it's like a little toy truck where kids usually carry sand in it. There's the Muru Minimals, Yuki's book, Okotsu's ring, and of course Mahito. This is everything Maru needs. As he says, you've given us the information we need from here on. And if you zoom in on this page, you can see there's like, it's a child's room, there's stars and stuff around, it's colored in such a way, and there's children toys everywhere. There's like an alien ray gun on the left, a astronaut there, a toy of a dinosaur or something, a football, a big Rubik's cube, and just toys, like things to learning like for the shape of apples and stuff. Maru says, there's one last thing I want to confirm about Kalyans on Earth, I mean cursed spirits. And in the next page we have an explanation from Yuji, and I really like the backdrop of this being a children's room. It just looks cool, like the way it's in the backdrop of everything. Yuji says, cursed spirits is what's formed when cursed energy leaked from humans cells up and piles up like sediment. And this phenomenon is only seen in Japan. So to create a world where cursed spirits aren't born, we have two options. 1. Remove cursed energy from Japanese people. 2. Make Japanese people into Jujutsu sorcerers. So basically 1 is the Yuki route, 2 is the Geto route. Those are the only two options. I disagree, I think there's actually 4 options. There's the Kenjaku optimization option, and there's also an option of just making it so people don't leak that cursed energy, but I guess they just haven't thought that far, or maybe I guess Gege just doesn't want to go down a continued route of JJK, as I'll talk about later. As for option 2, Maru says, since the sorcerer's cursed energy circulates within their body well, and because using techniques consumes cursed energy, and thus leakage is extremely small, that's the logic behind it. Yuji says, it was in Tsumuko-san's secret notes, handy. It seems like when Maru teleported it to this room, Maru automatically got all of the information in there, like he just got it into it. It's pretty funny because it seems like maybe Yuji either A, doesn't remember exactly what was in there, or B, like hasn't fully read it all, because even he's like, oh, that was in the secret notes? Cool. Don't know which option it is, but both options are very funny. And now they're saying option 2, which is basically make everyone cursed basically uses, they're saying it's not option 2 isn't viable because, and I'll read now from Maru, or Yuji could be saying this actually, considering it could be either or, but they say, but I think option 2 is not viable. The harm from cursed spirits would just turn into violence from cursed users. Wouldn't that cause a lot more physically gifted like Tsurugi being born? So basically they're saying 1, even if there's no more cursed spirits, like all people in Japan having cursed energy and cursed techniques is going to just cause chaos, and a lot of physically heavenly restricted people like Tsurugi would just exist, basically making chaos, and those people could just as easily turn out to be evil. Those don't appear unless someone originally possesses an extreme potential to a technique or amount of cursed energy. Now this is very interesting. I always assumed, and all of us assumed, if you just had that heavenly restriction of Maki and Toji, your max potential was as strong as they were, but that's not true. It actually turns out the amount of potential max cursed energy you could have ever gone, well I guess it grows over time as well, as we've seen in Yuji, but not just that, the initial potential of your technique, because 80% of a sorcerer's potential comes from their technique and how good it is. What you get at birth, or what you were destined to have, and your max upper limit actually is taken account by the binding vow when you're given the physically gift. So for example, that's probably why Maki, when Mai died and Mai was no longer holding it back, was as strong as she was, because naturally as a Zenin, I guess she probably had a lot of cursed energy, but that 80% buff that came from Mai's technique, because Mai Nirozu's technique is really good. I know it has an inefficiency problem, but do remember Mai wasn't able to fully utilize it because Maki was holding her back as well. as well as her not training, but we saw Yorozu was able to become a extremely strong Heian era special grade that dominated, like actually said by a narrator, dominated special grade forces of the highest tier of the Heian era. And again, I quote, the narrator was saying for Yorozu that she's a high tier Heian era sorcerer, so you need a high tier technique to do that with, because 80% of your basically potential and power comes from a technique. That's why Maki got so strong, because she's sacrificing a very strong technique. That's the technique Maki would have had she not been a twin. And this actually explains why Tsurugi is not as strong as Maki and Toji. As for Toji, we have no idea. Like, we generally have no clue what his technique would have been, how much cursed energy he would have had, but just seeing how strong he is, probably something really strong. But Tsurugi, it was said that he was born of no cursed technique. Originally, I thought, oh, is that because of the heavenly restriction? Now I'm thinking, was he actually just born without a technique, just generally? Not the heavenly restriction, but was he just born like that? And that's why his heavenly restriction is so weak. I mean, he is pretty strong, like he was fighting that grade 1 sorcerer very well. I do think if Tsurugi never had the Rika binding vow, he probably would peak at grade 1, honestly. But that would make sense. Why Toji and Maki are so much stronger, even though Tsurugi should have a fully realized heavenly restriction. And that also explains why heavily restricted users can grow, because as you train, you know, you get more cursed energy, like we've seen of Yuji, right, over 86 years. I guess in that way, yes, you can get stronger with heavenly restriction. As Maki said, you can get stronger. Even Toji says, I've got on rusty. Now, of course, Tsurugi probably got way stronger after making that binding out from Rika, sacrificing so much of that power. Probably elevate him to that level, but it's just like how Maki said, you get stronger with status, right? I wonder, honest to God, how strong, for example, somebody like Gojo would have been with the 6 size limitless if he had gotten that heavenly physical gift, where it would have taken away the 6 size limitless that he would have been destined to have. His heavenly restriction probably would have been so strong, like genuinely, I think he one-shots like Sukuna, Yuji, anybody. Like, he'd probably be so much of a monster because of the potential that he's sacrificing. It does make you really reconsider just how this heavenly pact work, doesn't it? I wonder even if Mechamaru, it works in a similar way, but I guess not, because he was sacrificing the health of his body. I wonder if, let's say for Mechamaru, it had taken into account, this is how healthy he would have been, this is how tall he would have grown, this is how many years he would have lived, and because we're going to basically make his skin and everything a living hell, we're taking that into account onto how strong his heavenly restriction becomes. I'm getting a bit too off topic now, but let's just come back to the chapter itself. But to continue, Maru says, which means we should proceed with option 1, remove cursed energy from Japanese and Sumerians. So we'll move forward in that way, right? Yuji says cursed spirits probably won't be born from Sumerians anyway. If we take only cursed energy from Earthlings, they'll create friction later. Yuji says, yeah, that's true. After talking this far, well then. Because Yuji's basically saying, who are you? That's what Yuji's saying. Maru says, excuse me, I'm Maru. Maru, what do you think about what we're about to do? It's atonement. We've caused trouble on Earth. Maru then says, then at least let it be so that everyone can think the world got better because they met us. Yuji says, sorry, I don't deny this point of view, it's partially correct, but what we're about to do is a great sin. Maru looks shocked as he hears this, because, you know, Maru's kind of naive, he's young, he's 19, he's like, wait, I thought we were doing a good thing. Yuji says, if we will trade safety for the removal of all possibilities from the future. For example, with aliens arriving, research on cursed energy as a new energy source would likely have progressed rapidly. Hundreds of years from now, resources might be exhausted and cursed energy might be the only thing left to rely on. That possibility would be taken away. After all, meddling with other people's bodies without their consent is not something that can be praised. Now, I have so much to talk about this, because honestly, I don't think what they're doing is a good thing. Because Maru says, so what should I do? Yuji says, but we'll do it looking very, very intense, like very sharp. You can tell like he's an 80-plus-year-old person. He's not a teenager anymore. So seriously, like you can just see everything that Yuji has been through. Honestly, the slick back hair, like the Sukuna style hair, is very cool from Yuji as well. But I don't agree with this because, first of all, yes, we are getting some safety with cursed spirits being killed. I saw some arguments online saying, yes, this is the right choice, because look at all the cursed spirits that killed people, like when Jogo, for example, set the restaurant ablaze and all those people died, or just cursed spirits generally killing so many people and making people's lives a hell. My counter to this is what Yuji is saying. You're looking at the smaller picture, and I'm not saying I'm right, I'm just saying this is my own opinion. Maybe you disagree with me, like there is no wrong and right here, it's just what we believe is correct. But in the smaller picture, yeah, like there's gonna be more safety for humans, less cursed spirits doing anywhere, which isn't even a problem because ever since Modulo's begun, cursed spirits don't even exist outside of Japan, Tokyo, and even Tokyo, there's no humans living there, so cursed spirits aren't a problem anymore for normal people. Literally, it's not become a problem at all anymore, it's just for this conflict being resolved. That's the only reason they're doing this. If you had said this when Jujutsu Kaisen was happening, I would understand, because cursed spirits existed everywhere in Japan, but not anymore. They only exist in Tokyo with no humans there, so like what's the point from a safety point of view? You're basically sacrificing the potential of humanity. Like, humanity could genuinely become extinct because they would have no more resource to rely on, and even they don't have the mothership anymore because they have no more cursed energy to leave the planet either. And not only that, but you're destroying thousands of years of traditions, of cultures, of family history, of like jujutsu traditions and histories and cultures. Like, you're destroying all of it from all of the clans, like the Inumaki clan, Gojo clan, Zenin clan, Kamo clan, and so many other minor clans that exist. All of that is just gonna go. It's gonna go into nothing. And you're doing this without taking people's own choices and consent into account at all. There is no, like Yuji said himself, there's no consent for anything. What about people in the future? Now you're saying children that may have been born with this technique or that technique, and they could have done good things for the world, maybe they would have wanted that. Now they won't have the opportunity because you made that choice for them to remove cursed energy. Like, you didn't even let them have the chance. It's almost like you're taking away the birthright of these children, something that somebody would have been destined to have, that would have made their lives better, that would have given it purpose, that would have defined it. It's like you're taking that away from them. And even then, this is just sacrilegious. You'll see what Yuji said, like he even actually said it before. He said it is a great sin, and that's true because cursed energy and techniques were given to the Lumilians from the Kalyans. That was from God. Like, it was literally a gift from God. What they're doing, like Yuji said, is a great sin, is literally sacrilegious against the Kalyans' own religions. Maybe Maru doesn't have a problem with that. Maru doesn't seem to care about Kalyans at all, honestly. He doesn't really give a shit about Kalyans and cursed spirits. But what about the other Sumerians, specifically the Lumilians on board, who are extremely religious, like we saw most of them are, who truly believe in Kalyans and worshipping them, and they would see cursed energy as a holy thing because it was given from them from the Kalyans. You're basically going against and spitting on the religion of all Lumilians because of what? Like, safety? And that's a fair point. That's a fair point. But I'm just saying, what you're getting does not equate. Like, the safety doesn't matter at all. Again, cursed spirits don't even exist out of Tokyo, so the safety part is bullshit. All of this, honest to God, comes from the main point of peace between the humans and the Sumerians, because that's the main issue. That's basically what they want to solve. Do you really think there's no other way to solve this conflict? Like, are they just instantly skipping right to the step of, we're just gonna destroy all cursed energy and cursed techniques from people of the future? And again, I know it's just sorcerers in the future, but that doesn't change anything. As a matter of fact, that's even worse. This is like Zeke from Attack on Titan, like the euthanasia plan, where it's like affecting people that can be born in the future. Like, it's not exactly, but you see what I mean, right? I just really think it's not worth it. I think there is a solution to this whole conflict of peace between the aliens and the humans. I think there's dozens of different solutions, rather than going right to this. Like, this is a crazy way to try and solve this. You were removing all potential future of humanity and the aliens. Mate, what if the Diskunte decide to pull up in the future and they find this planet? What is anyone going to do when the Diskunte just wipe everyone off the planet? It could be 100 or 1,000 years from now. Yuji's not going to live forever, as we see after this. And there's only Yuji around as the only protector, I guess, like after a few generations, and he's the only sorcerer left. I just think this is bad from every point of view. I just think the trade-off isn't worth it. And I honestly think the only reason Gege is doing this is because he wants to end JJK permanently. Like, I really, really don't like this. And from a writing point of view, I think this is very bad, but I will talk about that at the end of my review, because the review is not finished. As we talk about in the next 2 pages, Maru says, is that okay? Yuji says, it's not okay, but even so, we'll do it. Looking incredibly intense, like just borderline straight up insane. And I guess it makes sense being alive for so long. Maru says, why? Yuji says, because I think it should be done. Besides, I'm gonna live for like 300 more years anyway. And that's pretty cool if you consider the fact Tengen says humans live for about 400 years. Yuji has lived almost 100 years now. It's been 86 years. That actually lines up with Tengen's time frame of humans living for 400 years before they begin to evolve into cursed spirits. Yuji says, I can get the things that need to be done taken care of, and if necessary, I can accept the punishment for it. And on the final page, we have Yuji saying, listen, I wonder if I'll lose my cursed energy, will I not age? Maru says, we won't interfere with the souls of current sorcerers or Sumerians, as I've talked about before. We'll limit this strictly to non-sorcerers and people born from now on. Otherwise, there will be people whose lives are turned upside down by this. Alright then, next up, cursed spirits. Right, cursed spirits are currently here. No wait, not like that. Even if you remove cursed energy from Japanese people, cursed spirits will probably still be born. Maru says, huh? The editor's note saying world harmony proves difficulty. And it also says, because of all of the support due to JJK recently and the popularity, we're going to have 3 whole cover pages for the next 3 chapters. Which is a bit sad because that kind of implies or foreshadows that JJK is ending in just 3 chapters, JJK Modulo. So we may only have 3 chapters left. It could be more than that, it could be 4 or 5, but 3 is probably what we're gonna get. But yes, this was interesting to say the least. And I want to say this first and foremost because this is just my own personal opinion, but the way this is potentially, I must say this, potentially going, I do not like this at all. I want to say, before I even say my own opinion actually, we don't know yet. until Jujutsu Kaisen itself ends, we don't know how the ending is gonna go, so I'm making assumptions for what may happen. The best example I can give for this is Haikyuu. Haikyuu has, I definitely argue, one of the greatest endings in all of like storytelling, dude. Not just manga, I mean storytelling generally. For a great story, it's rare for it to have an equally great ending. Haikyuu is one of those examples, but I remember when I was reading it weekly, I can't really say this without spoiling too much, and most of you probably aren't aware anyway, so don't worry, I won't say this for only Haikyuu fans, but basically, I thought it was gonna end in 2 chapters in a very bad way. When I found out like something happened and you see like, oh, things are gonna end soon when it heads to the beach, it time skips a few years in the future, I thought it was gonna be genuinely one of the worst endings I've ever seen. It ended up being 2-3 massive arcs, bigger than what I thought it was gonna be, with the greatest ending I've ever seen. So the reason I say this, there's a reason I'm saying this, it's connected to Jujutsu Kaisen. Maybe right now, with the way it potentially looks like it's going, I'm saying the ending is gonna be very shit, but I don't know that because we haven't gotten the ending, so I can't say the ending is bad until I see the ending. Like, I can't prejudge it because I could very easily be wrong, but I will say it looks like it is heading down a bad path. That much I can say and is fair, and I do want to be fair to Gege before I say that. Now to actually talk about why is Kyabri saying this, like why am I saying this ending is going to be bad? This is 50-50 split between personal preference and just like criticizing writing, like critical reading, critical writing. So the problem I have is taking away cursed energy and techniques for future people and making a world where there's no more cursed spirits, no more cursed energy, techniques, oh, like a boring world, just like how the humans have always lived. I genuinely despise ending like that. I truly hate it with a passion. Personally, I think it sucks. It reminds me of Solo Leveling's ending, Demon Slayer's ending. Like, these endings are so bad, so trash, where it's like the world just becomes like our own and all powers and these type of things just cease to exist. I really don't like it. I think it's so rare and even far and few between when something like this is pulled off correctly. I think it is boring. I think it is an extremely lazy solution because the author doesn't really know how else to fix everything, so it's like, oh yeah, we'll just take away the power system and then there was world peace, blah blah, the world is perfect and happy now, like it's a utopia. Like, I've seen that so many times by so many authors. It is so boring, it is so trash, there's no flavor to it, there's no uniqueness to it, it is incredibly bland and just outright puts me to sleep. Like, genuinely the most forgettable, mediocre endings of all time. It is so garbage in my own personal opinion. Now, that all was my own opinion. That's just what I personally, right? Now, why do I say this from a critical point of view and a writing point of view? So I'll switch to, like, you know, a critic. The reason I don't like this solution is it is tied into some things I was saying in my own opinion, but I just think it's kind of a lazy cop-out, right? You're basically saying, oh yeah, we'll solve everything by just removing the system power system, removing everything in the world and just making it a place of only humans like normal. We've seen so many authors do this, especially shonen, and just manga generally. Like, it happens so often, like Attack on Titan did this as well. Demon Slayer, like I said before, Solo Leveling, like I could just go on and on. It happens so many times. Or Fullmetal Alchemist, where there's no more alchemy. I just think there could have been more interesting paths to go down, interesting solutions, and the biggest critical part I have about all of this is the fact that it's heavily Deus Ex Machina based. Maru's technique literally can do everything, and I've been seeing criticism of this pop up week by week, but I can't really say no. Like, the reason I don't talk about this is because I know it's true. And then, you know, this just makes it all worse. Like, this technique, as I've been saying in other videos, is better than Six Eyes Limitless, Shrine, Blood Manipulation, Ten Shadows, Idol Transfiguration. Combine every technique in all of Jujutsu Kaisen, combine them, and it is not as good as Chaos and Harmony. This is by far and away the greatest and best technique in all of Jujutsu history. Now, it is important I say this because I don't want people to misunderstand. I am not saying it's the strongest. If you noticed, I didn't say strongest. If we're talking in terms of combat utility and what's the strongest technique for combat, Chaos and Harmony is like barely top 10. I say barely top 10. It may not even be top 10 in terms of combat. It is a special grade combat based technique, like it's strong in terms of combat, but many techniques are stronger than it and more suited for battle. But in terms of its utility and how big of an effect it has and what it can do and how much of a special grade technique it is, how special it is, it's by far and away the best. Like, nothing comes close to it. I mean, this technique actively is affecting 8 billion human beings, making it so all 8 billion can communicate and understand 50,000 alien sorcerers, and communication can be possible. I mean, remember, they went to America first before Japan. This is the work of one sorcerer, as Tsurugi said. Maru alone is making sure this can all happen. Originally, we thought maybe it could have been Cross doing it too, but Cross is incapacitated, so right now Maru is handling this all by himself. What's even crazy is this technique has a universal range. With the Harmony technique, they went from the alien's home planet and found it like a homing beacon to Earth. A universal range, which is nuts. Even right now, Maru's technique easily can affect all humans on the planet. Like Maru said, I can just affect all the humans. Like, it's not an issue. Even then, it made the mothership. Everyone said the mothership, this isn't something anyone can just make because of the special special materials, the Muru materials. It's built from the Muru materials, but it was only able to be made because of the insane special grade technique of Maru and Ross, who made a spaceship bigger than a country. Like, this might be bigger than Japan. It is fucking huge, this spaceship, as we saw it from space, looming over Tokyo. And even then, like, we just saw the things it can do, like freeze or boil water, literally mess with almost causality, or not causality I should say, but chaos itself, like making things around him go haywire. You throw something at him and it bends around him. Like, it's literally chaos and harm. And now this technique is just like, oh yeah, with my technique I can go to the afterlife and bring our bodies there. With my technique I can do this, like I can subjugate Mahito and make a ritual of this, you know. With my technique I can make Mahito bring back some of the strength that we can conveniently use for my plant removal cursed energy. With my technique I can somehow affect all humans on Earth. Like, what is this? This is truly like a Deus Ex Machina, like solve everything. Humans and aliens can't communicate with each other? Yeah, this technique did it. How did the aliens find the humans' home planet? Yeah, this technique did it. How did they make this alien spaceship that their planet doesn't have the technology for? Yeah, the Chaos and Harmony technique did it. How are they gonna affect all humans on Earth? Yeah, the Chaos and Harmony technique, yeah, it did that. How are they gonna get Mahito and his ideal transfiguration? Chaos and Harmony. How are they gonna go to the afterlife? Yeah, Chaos and Harmony. How is Maru gonna understand all of this in an instant and get all the information with Yuki's book? Chaos and Harmony. Of course, it gives you that. Chaos and Harmony does everything. Anything you want, anything you can imagine, everything the plot needs to proceed. Oh my god, I think I just realized as I'm reviewing this is just the plot device. This Chaos and Harmony is the great, it just clocked to me, like, as I'm reviewing it, this is a genuine plot device. Are you joking, AKUTAMI Gege? Oh my god, it is just a plot device, like literally Deus Ex Machina to make things happen in the story. That has to be my biggest criticism of all of this. It is gotta be the Chaos and Harmony technique. Like, I've seen people talking about this, but it lately has become ridiculous with how great of a plot device it is. Especially when we learn that it was Maru's technique that brought them to the afterlife and not the mothership or the Kalyan. Like, in this chapter it was confirmed the technique was doing this and even regained Mahito's strength. Dude, are you joking? Are you joking? How can one technique do all of this? Like, this is literally whatever the plot needs to progress and move forward, this technique is that. Insane. Like, it is actually nuts to me, man. And again, there's more to it, but I think this video is already far too long. You can see by the length of it. I will need a whole other video just to talk about specific points. Probably I'll make before the next chapter comes out, different ideas, different points. So do be sure to subscribe so you don't miss out on those videos, and do leave a like. I mean, hey, you've watched this far, a like would be very much appreciated. It helps push the video out, so thank you very much if you do. And of course, subscribe. I mean, you've watched this far, again, you're gonna love this channel. I got a ton of videos just like this, posting JJK Modulo content all the time, non-stop. So if you love JJK Modulo, you will not regret subscribing. But hey, that's all from me. Have a wonderful day, everyone, and take care.